Join me today as we talk about judges are continually stopping Trump's executive orders on every single turn. Why isn't Congress acting on some of these things? And if we don't act now and change our election laws and voter ID, we're going to lose our country. Stick around. You just might learn something. Welcome to the Eric T. Conversation. I'm Eric T. A judge just blocks the Trump executive order requiring proof of citizenship for voter registration. This is happening over and over again. Now, this is my big issue with Donald Trump. What he's doing is a good thing, but he's doing everything by executive order. And these lower court district judges are ruling against everything that he's doing. Now, I don't care if you're on the left or the right. This is not how our government is supposed to be ran. We elect our president to do the bidding of what we wanted him to do on what he campaigned on and things that we agreed that we liked about it. And part of that, overwhelmingly, our country wants voter ID to register to vote. That's what we want. Overwhelmingly, the United States wants that. We don't want illegals voting in our elections. We want people who are citizens, and we think majority of the individuals in the United States believe we should have some form of ID to vote and to prove that you're a citizen of the United States. Because over the last 20, 30 years, that's gone away. Kamala Harris only won blue states. And those blue states that she won did not require any voter ID. She didn't win any areas that required voter ID. So what does that tell you? That tells you that the left has constantly manipulated the system so they don't have to have voter ID, so they can just have anybody they want voting in our elections. That needs to stop. It is becoming a significant problem. And if you agree with them saying that we don't need voter ID, you're a very small minority, very small. And either you're just doing it to go against the grain, or you're really naive, because our country was founded on these types of principles. And anybody that votes in our presidential elections, or any elections for that matter, should be a citizen of the United States. I don't see why that's so complicated to understand. Everybody should be a citizen. It is the one great gift that we have, a free society, to have free and open elections. But there has to be some type of limitations. You can't just allow everybody to come in and vote that aren't a registered citizen of the United States. Here's a funny story. When I was in Afghanistan in 2005, 2006, they were going to have their first election there. Okay. And how they did it was you dipped your finger into like purple ink or whatever, and you voted. And if you had a purple finger, that signified that you had voted in that election. And I remember my interpreter, Ricky, what we called him, he wasn't going to vote. Hey, Ricky, you going to vote tomorrow? He's like, nah, I'm not going to vote. He's like, it doesn't matter. I was like, dude, I'm away from my entire family here in this country that I don't want to be in, so you can have these types of freedoms to vote. I said, when I see you tomorrow, I expect your finger to be purple. And you know what? When he came in the next day, he made it a point to show me that his finger was purple with that ink that they dyed it in order to vote. That's what it's about. People died for that opportunity for a free society for us to vote. It is really that important. And it shouldn't be determined by whoever can get in there and fill out a ballot. It's determined by people who are citizens of the United States. Now, there's a lot of illegals that you keep seeing in the news that were here 20 years, 25 years. They started a business, have a family, and they're not citizens. They're still undocumented, but they've been living here for 20 years. And now they're afraid they're going to have to get sent back. And I have a problem with that. Not that they're going to have to get sent back. I have a problem with these individuals being here that long and not becoming a citizen of the United States. If this country is so great for you to risk your life to come here, you start a family, you have a business, you are a contributing member to the society. You are only able to do that in the United States. Why not show your loyalty for the country that has given you so much and become a citizen of this country? A lot of people do. And it's probably the most proudest moment of their lives. Many people have. I think we need to start looking at these lower federal district courts that are in D.C., by the way. They're not shopping federal district courts in Texas and in Florida and some of the red states. No, they're getting these court judges in D.C. And a lot of these judges have already ruled on different cases with Trump to begin with. They're not shopping. They are literally handpicking these judges to make these rulings. But as I said on my last show, Trump should have been smarter. He should have known this was going to happen. He's not getting on Congress. He's not telling them to make these laws. He's allowing this to happen to himself at every turn. So something needs to be done about that. I don't know what the answer is. Now, I get it. If Supreme Court rules against you, that's the law of the land. Biden and some other presidents have not really listened to the lower courts when they made decisions. The one that comes to mind was the student loan one. That even though the Supreme Court ruled he couldn't do that, that is up to Congress for that, Biden did it anyway. He circumvented the courts. But where there's a will, there's a way. And one of the ways is that Trump is going around the courts. And the reason why where there's a will, there's a way. And this is one of the ways Trump's is doing it. So they attempted to block the deportation of illegal gang members by the DHS. Well, Trump decided to use the DOD instead, Department of Defense, to export all of these illegals that are in these gangs. And he's having to do that time and time again, but he's doing it. And it's a perfectly legal way of doing it. You just deport them to another organization. Instead of Department of Homeland Security, you send them to the Department of Defense and get them out of here, right? Because they designated them as a terror organization. So that's one way to do it and circumvent the judge's rulings. But it shouldn't be like that. Our country shouldn't be ran by lower court federal judges. And you can say the three branches of government, executive, legislative, and judicial, you can say that all you want. But think about it. Any ruling or any decision that Donald Trump makes as president of the United States, the Democrats can go shop for or handpick a left-leaning judge to do their bidding. No matter what it is, it sets a bad precedent. The executive branch should be able to do what they are able to do and what they got voted on for this country. And it's happening over and over again. And I don't know what's going to happen because Congress isn't doing their job. So hopefully in the next couple of weeks, we're going to start seeing some other things take shape. And Donald Trump will get some of the things he wants done quicker. But right now, he's getting stymied at every turn by these lower court federal judges. And the lower court federal judges, people. And if you are really on the side to say, well, he's breaking the law and that's why people are protesting. No, they're not protesting because they feel that uneasy about Donald Trump. These are organized protests. My opinion. I don't have any facts, but from what I can see, it just seems very convenient that all of a sudden, Elon Musk, his dealerships are getting firebombed, his cars are getting vandalized, getting spray painted on them, his dealerships are getting Molotov cocktails on them. So I don't think that somebody said, hey, we just need to do this. No. They've been manipulated by the media and by left-running organizations that do these types of things. They do it. They've already geo-tracked all these people that are at these AOC gatherings with Bernie Sanders, these oligarch rallies to go against all the oligarch billionaires. They've already geo-tracked. They said 80% of the people that they tracked their cell phones have showed up at every single one of these events. Okay, these events are held all over the country, but yet you can fly from California to North Carolina or wherever it was to Wyoming to Florida. You can just fly around, go in and attend all these events. No, they're bringing these people in. This is my opinion. I don't know factual evidence of it, but it just seems very strange. These are all organized, and people in this country voted overwhelmingly for Trump's agenda. And we should allow that to happen. Because if we don't, and somebody else gets in there, and in 2 years we lose a house, and in 4 years we lose a presidency to the left, it's going to be chaos in this country. It really is. And if you don't realize that the torment and the destruction that they have done to the United States in just 4 years, you're very blind, or you're just naive, or you're easily manipulated through the media. And that's the Republicans' problem. Because about 60 years ago, they let the left infiltrate the colleges, universities, and the media. They allowed them to do it. I don't know why. Because, maybe they all had a deal made at some point. I don't know why they did it. But now Trump is playing catch up. Right now, they're blocking all this federal aid to Harvard universities and some of these other colleges and universities that have been getting federal funding. And what do they scream? Oh, well, if you block that federal funding from Harvard University, we're going to not be able to do child cancer research. It's always about child cancer research. Every college that they stop giving federal funding to has some kind of cancer research. That's a heartstring they try to pluck on people. No, I don't think that's true at all. I think some of these colleges and universities that have football programs, they have cost an arm and a leg just to attend there, but yet they're getting federal dollars. That's weird. That bothers me. The Republicans allowed that to happen. They allowed the left to infiltrate, and not like just the Democrat Party, the hardcore left, liberals, to infiltrate the colleges and universities to get the hearts and minds of our students, of our children that we send to these universities. And they're doing it, and they manipulate them to the tune of tens of thousands of students. And what happens to them? They're the ones protesting. They're the ones voting against Donald Trump. They get them as judges. They get them in law schools. It just goes over and over again, and it needs to be stopped. One way or another, Trump has to do it. But see, this is going to happen real quick here for the 4 years. But if the Republicans don't do their job and start getting these things pushed through in laws and making it solid so it can't be overturned in the next executive order from the next president, it's going to be lost. And it's going to be lost very quickly. So you can enjoy what Trump's doing now, but he's getting blocked at every turn. And we got to do something about it. Even though they just came out on X and somebody close to the Trump administration said they're going to start making some arrests soon. I don't know. It's got to the point where I have very, like what they say, it's got to the point where I have very little faith in somebody's going to be arrested for the crap that they've been doing over the last 4 or 5 years. It has to happen. We'll see if Pam Bondi's actually going to file charges against any of these individuals. And if these individuals are there, there's leaks everywhere in the government. Somebody's on the inside. They always get somebody in there that's going to feed them information. So if they are going to get arrested, you would think that Adam Schiff has a pretty good clue if it's him or not. It should be him. It should be Hillary Clinton. They should all go to fucking jail. Every single one of them. Because if you don't put these people in jail, the American people, about 75% of us, believe that all these people should be arrested. We're going to have very little faith in the Trump administration moving forward. Because he's the one that's going to do it all, right? Somebody's got to do it. He's the chosen one, as he said. So if someone's going to do it, it's got to be him. Because he really has nothing to lose. He's already a billionaire. He's already got the most name recognition in the entire world. He has successful businesses. His kids are all successful. He's a grandpa. He's got golf courses all over the world, hotels all over the world. He doesn't need to prove anything. So let's see if he does it. And if he does, great. And if he doesn't, I'm going to be right here on this microphone hammering him, just like I did the other night. And I'm going to keep doing it until things get done the way we voted on it. Because that's the only recourse we have. Because in about 4 years, it could all be for absolutely nothing. And for those that are worried about, should we impeach these judges? Yes, these judges should be impeached. I know it's the left, the people on the left are like, wow, it's not how you do it. And even Justice Roberts came out and gave a tweet about a month ago about saying things about impeaching judges from the judicial bench. And I get that. But there comes a point where something has to be done about radical judges that are constantly legislating from the bench. We saw it in cryptocurrencies, okay? We saw the SEC going after all these cryptocurrencies over and over and over again. Why? Just to slow it down. They were just trying to slow it down and get rid of it. But the law was on their side. And time again, the SEC lost all those cases because they were trying to create laws with lawsuits. And that's not how you do it. There's got to be legislation on that. And hopefully in August, we'll start getting crypto legislation and people will start investing it and feel more secure about their funds going into cryptocurrencies. But that's what the left is doing with these judges. So we need to impeach them. We need to get rid of some of these judges. And I'm with everybody else. They say it. The Congress constantly says they're going to do it, but they don't do jack shit. They don't. They don't do anything. They talk about impeaching. They have their hearings. They have their meetings. They bring people in. They interrogate them. They swear under oath, but nothing happens. Nothing changes at all. It is so deep rooted in our government with these politicians that individually they're great people, but collectively they're a hot mess. And it's on both sides. Both sides. We've got congressmen right now and women going over to El Salvador from the state of Florida and to go check on the Maryland dad who's clearly he's had his due process. 2 different judges already ruled on him as an MS-13 gang member. They already know this. His wife already filed a report of abuse. She had a restraining order against the guy. The list goes on and on. But why is my congressman from the state of Florida, who's supposed to be representing people in his district and our state, flying to El Salvador to talk about somebody that's wasn't even living in Florida? He was living in Maryland. And he's from El Salvador. He's an El Salvador citizen. I don't get it. Somewhere along the lines, people in Congress have lost their way. They don't represent your district anymore. If you think your congressman or woman represents you, you are extremely naive because they aren't. They are whatever's good for them and their political party. Because if you had a congressman that was worried about his district in the state of Florida, Georgia, wherever, they wouldn't be flying there. They'd be concerned about their constituents, but they aren't, are they? They're worried about their party. And we as an Americans need to start figuring that out. And the best way to do that is by having voter ID and people that are registered as American citizens being allowed to vote. Because if we don't fix that, we're going to continually getting people in office that don't represent you. It's the majority rule in the lower states, right? You know, we're a republic, a constitutional republic, but we have representatives that we elect at the lower level by democracy, right? Majority rules. And those lower individuals represent our interests. And they don't do that anymore. I shouldn't have anybody from the state of Florida flying to El Salvador for jack shit. They should be representing what I want here in the state of Florida, what we elected them to do. But it's constant. Senators do the same thing. It's about checks and balances, but they're not checks and balances anymore. They are loose cannons doing whatever the heck they want. And we need to start reeling them in. So we need to start getting voter ID. We need to getting these people registered as citizens to vote in the elections. Because California, it's majority of mail-in ballots. Why do you think they do that? You think they do that because it's just easier to do that? No. They do that so they can manipulate the system. That's my opinion. But come on. You can't sit there and convince me that California is majority mail-in ballots, absentee ballots, and everything's on the up and up. It's the best way to manipulate the system. And they've been doing it for about 30 years. Ever since Ronald Reagan did the amnesty thing in 86, whenever he did it, he screwed California over completely. Californians will never be red, ever, because of the amnesty Ronald Reagan did. That's his biggest black eye on the Reagan administration. He approved that. And that was a huge mistake. And why do you think they're doing it now? And they're filtering illegals all over the country. We can allow tens of millions in without due process, without checking if they had a vaccine, whether they were sick, whether they were ill, whether they had a criminal background. No, we just let them in. But Trump's not allowed to send them back out. We had to go through due process. Millions of illegals. That would take decades to process all those. We need to get some answers. And we look to the people we elect for those answers. And it's not happening. It's not. And I'm getting to the point where I'm completely disenchanted with the Trump administration and what they are doing. He's doing what he says he was going to do, but you can't legislate with executive orders. You can't. That's not how you run a country. And Trump's doing it, hoping that the Congress would take up these bills and make laws out of them, but they're not doing that. Enjoy what you've got right now, because in 2 years, Congress is going to get flipped. And then in 4 years, we're probably going to lose the presidency because nothing got fucking done. And what's going to happen? It's going to start all over again. Pay attention, people. You got to start doing the right thing. And you got to start getting these people that are elected officials out of office if they're not doing their job. And they're not supposed to represent the Democratic Party or the Republican Party. They're supposed to represent the people in their districts and their states that put them there. That's it. That's who they are supposed to represent. And we need to start calling them to the carpet, because if we don't, we're going to lose our country. Well, that's it for today. Join me next time for a little chit chat, some observation, and some good old fashioned conversation. Thanks.